Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to Morning Inspiration with Friends with our host, Miss Inspiration. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe as you sit back and listen.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone is having a good day. Hope you had a good week thus far. I know I am. I'm having a good week so far. I saw a fox yesterday. That's kind of the highlight of my week so far. I saw a fox running in my neighborhood. Not in my on my block, but maybe like 6 blocks away from me. Yeah. The life of Oklahoma. So as you know, I am Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. This is Morning Inspiration with Friends. This is a quick message that I have for us today because it's something that I haven't talked about this in a while, especially this particular action. So I watched the Michael movie over the weekend. I don't know if anyone else saw it. I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And one thing that stood out for me in the movie, and then something that stood out, I came across an interview that his nephew, who plays him in the movie, he had said. So there was one part of the movie where Michael was like, no, I'm gonna sell out. I'm gonna travel the world, and everyone is like, slow down, like that hasn't even happened yet. Like the album's not even out. And he was like, it doesn't matter. I can see it. So that's something that he said. And then I saw last night his nephew did an interview, and he was like, he came across, they had found some journals that Michael had from when he was growing up. And I don't know how close to his death he was still journaling, but especially in the beginning, he was journaling a lot, but he was really scripting. He was manifesting and talking about everything that he wanted, the affirmations, the things that he can see himself do. And like he has said in that movie, I can see it, right? I can see it. So the power of vision is what I want to talk about today, because so many of us have these visions, but we don't see them come to life. And I truly believe the art of writing has gone away across the board. I mean, we look at it in the school systems, they've taken out writing, and we're seeing a decline in reading scores. And I do believe that that has a lot to do with it, because before, even if you got in trouble in school, your teacher would make you rewrite a paragraph, from a book. So it's like you had to remember, so you were either reading a sentence, you were either now figuring out new words to sound out, or we actually just got better with spelling because we was writing things. And so that's just one aspect of it. But then one thing I was thinking about this morning when I was up in the middle of the night, I was like, this could also be the reason why so many people just don't believe that manifestation, or we'll say in Christianity, write the vision, make it plain. People don't believe in those things. They don't believe that these things can possibly happen because they don't see it in their vision, right? And so vision starts internally. It starts here, right? What do you think? What do you see? You have to see it before anyone else does. This is the reason why you see people who are buying lands and they're seeing the vision of what it could turn into, what that land could turn into, what that house would look like, what that commercial property would look like. They have a vision of what it looks like because it starts here. So you have to start internally envisioning what that life is going to look like. What do you want that life? And I always think about, in 2015, I had worked with my first life coach, and the first time she ever gave me, because I was a writer. Like I journaled when I was younger, but I never really saw the correlation. I was just getting my feelings out, things that had happened, and I was just journaling in that aspect. But I never used journaling as a method to get what I truly desired in my life. And I remember she had me do one of my first exercises, like, what would you do if you didn't have to go to work? Like, what would your Monday look like? And I remember just being so unable to answer that question because one, it scared the heck out of me of what I really wanted to do and what I thought my Monday should look like versus what the world is telling us. And she was like, don't worry about none of that. She was like, your vision is yours. You have to see it. She was like, there are so many people out here who are living these lives that they can envision. And other people are like, well, that's impossible. That's never going to happen. It's not impossible. I promise you. And I remember one of the things that I said in 2015 was that, I don't mind working. I'm not one of those people that just want to become rich so that I don't have to work. I don't mind working. I mind doing purposeful work that pays me well, right? That's it. If it is purposeful and it pays me well, we're in good standing. I don't want to work full time. I want a part-time job. I want a really good part-time job that's going to pay me really well, right? And so I remember writing this down, 2015. The end of 2015, I'll never forget this. And so what she had me do was like, what is it that I want? How does it actually look? What are you building towards? How do you feel? She had me focus on all those things, like the 5 senses. And so I was able to internally see it. Now, it was not manifesting in my physical because if I did get a part-time job, it was just enough. Or I was only applying for full-time jobs because I still didn't have the belief system that the vision that I was seeing would actually come to pass, right? But it actually can. And I'm going to tell you how it ended up did, right? So we talked about this. What you want is going to start internally. Start the vision. Don't be afraid of what that vision looks like. Own it, right? Own the vision. It's your vision. No one can tell you this vision is right or wrong. I can't tell you, nah, maybe not. No, if that's what you want, then that's what you want. That's why I hate when I see like on YouTube and social media, people that want to live, that have that converted buses or live in RVs with their families, and I mean with children and stuff. And people are like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. That's their vision. They have a vision for their life, and they were bold enough to go after it. Take note of that and move on with your life. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, what? So let's go back to the writing. When you start writing it, you stop guessing it. When you start writing it, you stop guessing it. Even though it's not coming to pass in the physical yet, you are no longer guessing that this is, like, you are now starting to come into agreement that this is possible. You are coming into agreement that this is possible. And so you have to now turn those ideas into some kind of direction. So this is the reason why you start realizing, okay, so I have this vision. What's the first thing that I need to do? So thinking about the people that want to live in a bus, right? They want to convert a bus and they want to live the bus and travel the country. Some of the things that they had to do. And I remember when I was in Colombia, I met with what was he? He was a minimalist specialist or something like that. And he would help you to, declutter and going from having, thousands of square feet of storage and stuff that you need and now get you down to like 2 suitcases. And so that was something that I would imagine or envision someone who has that kind of dream. They now have to start taking actions. And the actions would be start to declutter. So they may have a yard sale, they may post things on Marketplace. You start to really get the ideas. And now the ideas are turning into steps, and the steps are now going to start turning into action. Right? So this is the reason why we want to start seeing, get back into that journaling, get back into that writing, make this true, make this actually possible, because I know it's possible, right? And the reason why I know that it's possible is because it happened to me. So the next thing is that belief without action isn't enough. So when I say that in 2018, I finally got to the point where I was just like, do I want to work full time? At that time, I was working in the beginning of 2018. I was working this crazy job, BS pay, BS job. I'm not even going to hold y'all. The amount of time that I worked at places that just was like, this is not real. But it be real because they pay you in real dollars. That's the only way that makes it real. But other than that, it wasn't. And I was like, God, I got to get out of here. And when I started applying for jobs, I was no longer only applying for full-time jobs. I was applying for jobs that were paying substantially more an hour and had a decent amount of hours. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to also attempt this, right? There was my action, right? I had to have the belief, but I needed to start doing some of the action. You can't just say, oh yeah, I just want to have a part-time job. But again, you're only applying to full-time, right? So just like with Michael, he didn't just sit down and just sit and write this. I want to be the number one star. I want to travel the world. He had to start doing something. And then you started to see him going into the studio with Quincy Jones and all of the stuff. Same thing, right? Saying the affirmations, believing it. His nephew said that he had like affirmations all over his house, on the walls, on the ceilings. Like he was always just trying to see it. And so I remember in that season when I was leaving and transitioning from that job that I didn't like and starting to find new ones, I had that week that I had interviews. I had 7 interviews lined up for 4 days. And half of those were part-time and the other half were full-time. And it came down to a full-time job with a city agency out in New York. And that was maybe, let's say $40 an hour, 35 hours a week. That's not horrible, right? So 40 hours, 30 hours, 35 hours, health insurance. I don't think I had PTO, or maybe not the first year, whatever. Fast forward, another company contacts me. Now, when I interviewed with this place, when I say literally, I walked in and I felt like this was my place, right? And ironically, I reconnected with one of my old coworkers who is now pretty much like one of my really good friends. And her name and the name of the organization that I ended up working for, because she also worked there, was the same name. So that was also like, I feel like God is giving me some hints. But I did the interview and literally the other company reached out to me, offered me the job. They also reached out to me afterwards. And so I was like, oh no, another company reached out. I'm going to take that offer as full-time. They were like, what do you want hourly? How many hours do you want? And I was just like, oh, this is different. And I told them what I wanted hourly. I think it was like, no, I think I had asked for $7 more than what the other place. They gave me $5, so I got $45 an hour. They said 20 hours a week. I took that. I did take it. And I will say to you, I've never had full-time hours, but I always had more, right? 25, 27 hours. And so when you did the math, I really came out in a really good spot financially. I was able to get back together. My money was starting to come back. I decided to go on and, I had like this one crazy electric bill from the utility company. I was able to pay that down. Like I was in a really good spot. I was able to take a trip that year. I remember I went to North Carolina. It was just feeling good. And this was all for my part-time job. That gave me vacation, paid vacation, right? They gave me summer Fridays, paid summer Fridays with a part-time job. And people were like, yo, you don't want no full-time job? I said, why would I want a full-time job that's going to have full-time problems when I've been praying for a part-time job? I've been praying for a really well-paid part-time job that pays me like it's full-time, and I'm not missing out on anything. And that was really when my life started to come back together because of that. And so I'm sharing that because I want people to just always remember, like, we got to get out of this mindset of, it has to be like what everyone else is doing. No, whatever that vision is that you want, take it, hold on to it, believe it, but take action. And just be okay that other people are not going to understand what the vision is for you. But you have to, in order for this to really come to pass, you got to believe that it's even possible. So many people have these big visions for things that they don't even believe is possible. Like I'm back at that space. I've been thinking about 2018, and that year was a really good year for me. And that year was a belief year because God started turning everything around. Everything just started to just improve, not in every aspect of my life. Like I was still single. That's probably the only thing. Everything else God was doing, I was just still single. That's cool. Like life is okay with that. You know what I'm saying? There's worse things out there. So I just share that because you might be waiting for proof. And the proof is not going to happen until you do something, right? You want to see it before you move. And unfortunately, that's not how that works. If you believe it already, Whatever actions you start taking is going to be the actions that you know is going to lead to the end result. The end result. The end result is the life that you're looking for, right? The life that you've been writing about. You're writing it all day. You're talking about it. You know, you're writing the affirmations. You're saying them. They're like, you're listening to them. I know someone who, at one time, actually, I did it. I recorded my affirmations. And before I went to bed, I would listen to my affirmations. I would listen to myself saying them. And then I would get up and I would write them. And I would keep writing them, because the more that we start writing and we start believing this, next thing you know, it's right here in front of us. And so I'm looking at people like Michael Jackson, who does this, who did this. Like, we need to take a little snippet of that and start adding it into our lives, right? Your goal might not to be the world's #1 entertainer. That might not be your goal. But what is your goal? And whatever that goal is, I want you to start tapping into that manifestation, tapping into that vision, start writing about it, start claiming it. Because once you claim it and you have ownership of it and you're like, this is mine and I'm going after this, that is when things are going to truly start to get so much better for you. But you have to start doing that work. The power of vision. What life do you see for yourself? And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to want that. Don't think that it's too big for you. Get started. There's so many of you out here who are not achieving and not living a life that you desire because you are afraid to have that vision or to believe that vision is possible. And now when someone is saying little things like just journal about it, you're not journaling because it doesn't seem possible. Tanisha, I don't know if I can do that. It seems impossible. It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. And I'm here to tell you that. I'm here to tell you that. And I'm not saying it out of fluff, right? Because I remember I saw a post one day and someone had made a young lady was talking about a guy from a dating app. And she was like, yeah, he don't even got, he working part-time. Like, he ain't even got no full-time job. And I said to her, I commented, I said, if that part-time job, I said, I don't know where we got this unction that part-time work means little money, right? I said, because, and I had told my situation. I said, I came out on top working part-time. I said, it's about how much you said, about what the talent, the skills is, what you're charging, what the fees are, what they're paying, how many hours. I said, part-time isn't always minimum wage. I said, so y'all got to stop that thinking as well. I said, there's a lot of people right now who are working part-time. I see the jobs. I seen the gigs. People out here making $50, $60, $70 an hour working part-time, doing 20, 25 hours a week, making more than most people who work full-time jobs. Because remember, somebody making $75 an hour, 20 hours a week is making more than someone who is working and making $20 an hour for 40 hours a week. You're making more than that full-time worker. So don't let anyone ever shade you into thinking that being part-time means that that's broke, means that you don't have no money, that you can't take care of yourself. That's why my prayer was always clear. I want to have a part-time job that I enjoy and that can take care of all of my financial needs. That's my prayer. I don't want to clock no 50 hours nowhere. I don't even want to do 40 hours a week. 20, 25 is my sweet spot. I won't get as tight. Oh gosh. All right. So what's your homework? What is your homework? Getting you a book and writing out your vision. Get you a journal and start. No, don't type it. Don't open up notes. There's power in writing. And I mentioned this earlier. Writing has been taken out of schools. And guess what's also been declining when writing was taken out of school? Reading scores. So get you a journal. Start writing a vision. Whatever you are holding in that vision and you have not released it because it seems impossible, it seems crazy, I want you to release it. Release it into that journal. And then I want you to journal about it again the next day. And then continue to journal about it the following day. And then continue to journal about it the next day. The more that we journal about this goal, about this dream, about the life that you keep seeing, the sooner they can come to you. But this is where you got to do the work. That's your work. That's your homework. Okay, so I am the girl Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Hope this week is going to be good to you, good for you. And as always, you know I love you. So I'll be back here on Friday for another episode of Morning Inspiration with Friends. Share this message and tag somebody or share it to your stories if you're watching this on Facebook, because someone needs to be reminded the power of vision. And I hope that this message helps you as well.
Wow. Tanisha, that was a powerful message. I hope everyone was blessed by today's message. Listen, if you are not tuned in, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Meet us for Morning Inspiration with Friends every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m.-ish CT time. See you next time, friend.